This mangled Nissan is just one of nearly 100 cars the chaos divers discovered in the Chicago River.
It's not uncommon for us to find vehicles. Heck, that's what we do.
When they started their search at the Richard J. Daley boat launch near 31st and Western last week, they didn't find just one or two vehicles, but they kept combing the water, ultimately logging dozens.
A lot of these are in piles. We have 3 piles that are ranging anywhere from 12 to 19 cars in one spot.
The independent dive team uses sonar technology to solve missing persons and cold cases. Their goal, to bring closure to families.
We are a little bit more interested in those cars that's kind of the one-off where it's just one vehicle by itself, because that's going to be more indicative of an accident or even self-harm or foul play.
In this case, Lindsay Busick says their focus is on the disappearance of Stefania and Edward Andrews, who vanished on May 15, 1970. The Andrews had just attended a cocktail party at the Sheridan, which at the time was on Michigan Avenue. Missing persons reports say they'd both been drinking, but Edward still tried to drive home to Arlington Heights.
And he had actually crashed into the parking garage door, and then it's believed that he went southbound in the northbound lanes leaving the hotel that night, which would have put them going into the Chicago River.
Busick says their yellow 1969 Oldsmobile has yet to surface.
So the fact that their vehicle's never been found, they're usually often in the woods or in the water.
Busick and Chaos Divers founder Jacob Grubbs, along with Derek Longos of Derek's Dive Recovery Service, are sharing their findings with police. So far, they've cleared 75 cars, meaning they are not tied to the Andrews cold case. And from what divers can gather, there are no human remains inside.
President Trump confirming he'll send the National Guard to Chicago, but says he'd prefer the governor request it.
I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, "Sir, we need help. It's out of control."
Today, a federal judge in California ruled Trump's deployment of National Guard troops in L.A. violates federal law that dates back to the late 1800s. It says a state's governor must request help except for rare cases of national emergencies. Pritzker today says Chicago violence does not fit that criteria.
When did we become a country where it's okay for the U.S. president to insist on national television that a state should call him to beg for anything, especially something we don't want?
Pritzker says the Guard troops are already here to be stationed with increased federal ICE agents at Great Lakes Naval Base. He says he believes they are ramping up for major enforcement on Mexican Independence Day in 2 weeks, and says local officials are aligned in opposition to Trump's plans.
We are ready to fight troop deployments in court, and we will do everything possible to ensure that agents operating inside the confines of this state do so in a legal and ethical manner.
Mayor Johnson sought to shift the blame after a violent Labor Day weekend that saw 8 killed and 50 wounded in gunfire across the city. He says President Trump bears responsibility for hundreds of millions in funding cuts to programs targeting gun trafficking.
We will never be able to end gun violence in Chicago as long as the president continues to allow tens of thousands of guns to be trafficked into our state and our city.
As loved ones gathered at Holy Name Cathedral to say their final goodbyes to 9-year-old Elijah Flores, justice was being served. On the day of Elijah's burial, Chicago police were arresting this man, 52-year-old Michael Carosa, who's been charged with involuntary manslaughter. He is also facing a felony battery count. The charges stem from the morning of August 10th, a tragic string of events detailed in court. Prosecutors say Elijah, who is autistic, was on the Green Line with his mom's boyfriend, 22-year-old Jonah Soraya. When the train approached the Clinton station, court documents state Soraya pushed Elijah out onto the platform, then took money out of another passenger's hand and started running. The passenger and his friend Carosa went after them. That's when Soraya picked Elijah up and put him over his shoulder as they headed down the stairs. Court documents say Carosa took his cane and struck Soraya on his back and head. Soraya fell down the stairs and dropped Elijah. He then threw the passenger's money down the steps, carried Elijah back to the train platform, and told a witness not to call anyone and that Elijah was okay. Prosecutors say he boarded the train, where another witness saw the boy, who wasn't moving, and called 911. Court records show Soraya was arrested later that day, but not in connection to what happened on the L. Instead, on an outstanding warrant out of Lake County, where he failed to appear in court in June for a retail theft and battery case. Elijah, who was hospitalized with severe head trauma and brain damage, died on August 16th. Loved ones say he was bright and loving and was looking forward to starting the school year.
There were months of turmoil at Northwestern University. That put them in the national spotlight, and it wasn't all good news. President Michael Schill, just 3 years into his tenure, faces mounting backlash, including criticism from Jewish groups and calls to resign. His handling of a pro-Palestinian encampment in spring of 2024 drew fire, with critics saying a negotiated deal with protesters legitimized anti-Semitism and failed to protect Jewish students. Several members of his anti-Semitism advisory committee resigned, and a class action lawsuit by Jewish students accuses the university of fostering a hostile environment. Meanwhile, Northwestern faces financial strain from $790 million in federal cuts under Trump to a costly settlement with ex-coach Pat Fitzgerald. Political science professor Stephen Caliendo says missteps in handling these challenges put the university at a disadvantage.
The construction of the new football stadium. Again, not to criticize that, there's probably good reason to do those things, but the optics when they're spending there, and then there's academic funding that's been cut by an administration that's been openly hostile toward higher education generally, and then the reluctance to sort of fight back to hold on to that funding. And then I think it feels to me like the final straw that Harvard, who did decide to fight back, got their money reinstated, or a portion of their money reinstated yesterday. That to me seems like where the problems are sitting.
Now, President Michael Schill did put out a statement of his own, and here's some of what he had to say. In that time, our community has made significant progress while simultaneously facing extraordinary challenges. Together, we have made decisions that strengthen the institution and help safeguard its future. The Anti-Defamation League issued a statement as well, saying in March of 2025, Northwestern created a new advisory council on Jewish life, prompting the ADL to raise its anti-Semitism grade from an F to a C, one of the few schools to actually improve to full grades. The Board of Trustees will name an interim president soon, and Schill will continue in his role until the interim starts.
Ben Johnson put up 30-plus points against the Minnesota Vikings last year as the Lions offensive coordinator, but Caleb Williams said they can't look at the past, knowing the 2025 Bears have a lot to prove starting Monday night.
We all have to prove it again, and we have to prove it as Bears, and he has to prove it again as a coach that, we can go out there and, put up as many points as possible on them, and that's the goal every week.
He's a sponge right now. I mean, he was up in my office a couple days ago, and we watched a couple games together, and he's just, the entire time, anything I would say, I see him jotting it down in his notebook. I feel really good about where he's at right now, and there's no reason why we can't win this year.
How Johnson calls the game, he says, depends on how the offense looks in practice, saying everyone on offense will have to carry the team at some point.
I go in early in the week, and, I have a lot of concerns about what it's going to look like on game day, and I don't know if this is going to work, blah, blah, blah. But by the time we get to the end of the week, I usually have a high degree of confidence in our guys because of how they've gone about their business, and I already feel that right now.
It's a pivotal day for Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as he defends his Make America Healthy Again agenda.
We at HHS are enacting a once-in-a-generation shift from a sick care system to a true health care system that tackles the root causes of chronic disease.
But not everyone thinks Kennedy is the right man for the job.
But RFK Jr.'s supposed solutions are not only wrong, they are downright dangerous.
Lawmakers, including Republican Senator and Dr. Bill Cassidy, are alarmed by some of Kennedy's recent moves. He's cut funding for mRNA vaccine research and changed COVID vaccine guidance for children and pregnant women. He's also shaking things up at the CDC. The director was fired by the White House just last week, and Kennedy replaced every member of a key vaccine advisory panel.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
Scientists and doctors are saying otherwise. They're all wrong, too. They're all lying, according to you.
The scientists and doctors are supporting me all over the country.
More than 1,000 current and former HHS employees and plenty of Democratic lawmakers are calling for Kennedy to resign. But his MAGA allies are cheering on his leadership.
President Trump and Secretary Kennedy have made a steadfast commitment to make America healthy again.
Payroll processing firm ADP released its employment report for August. Only 54,000 jobs were added, falling short of economists' expectations of 65,000 jobs.
Seeing a stubborn labor market would be a bit of a concern for us.
The ADP report follows a weaker than expected JOLTS report indicating lackluster hiring and easing labor market conditions. And Thursday's initial jobless claims point to more strain. 237,000 people filed for unemployment last week, higher than expected. All eyes now on the Fed and how Chair Jerome Powell interprets the data as he weighs interest rate cuts.
Not to say that bad news is good news, but in a way, the market actually wants to see a little bit of a stubborn labor market for the Fed to keep up those 2 rate cut expectations for the balance of this year.
Meanwhile, President Trump's Fed nominee, Stephen Moran, testified out on Capitol Hill, while Christopher Waller argues the bank needs to get ahead of this weakening labor market with rate cuts.
The Fed has almost signaled that there will be at least 25 basis points for the rest of this year. We think that probably 5 cuts between now and the middle part of next year is reasonable, unless we see, again, a very strong labor market, which we're not currently forecasting.
The White House is taking its tariff fight to the Supreme Court. President Trump's administration plans to formally request the Supreme Court to reverse a federal appeals ruling on Thursday. The ruling called some U.S. tariffs an illegal use of an emergency powers law. The case focuses on initial global tariffs announced in April and tariffs on imports from Canada, China, and Mexico. The ruling does not apply to tariffs imposed on foreign steel, aluminum, and vehicles. A federal jury says Google is on the hook for $425 million for invading users' privacy. The jury found the tech company collected data from millions of users, even if they opted out of Google's tracking feature on their accounts. Users in the case were seeking $31 billion in damages from the company. Google says it plans to appeal the verdict. And Frontier Airlines is letting its customers go wild. The budget airline announced the return of its unlimited travel pass for the 2026 to 27 season. The pass lasts for 20 months, starting immediately after its purchase. It allows travelers to book a domestic trip all the way up to 1 day before the flight for just a penny plus fees.
Illinois members of Congress say as lawmakers, they'll protect the rights of the public. They say deploying the National Guard to act as police in Chicago is illegal.
The National Guard, who is comprised of good, honorable people who are being pulled from their everyday lives, cannot be used as the president's paramilitary force.
In response to the high number of shootings over Labor Day weekend, President Trump called Chicago a hellhole and said the city needs his help, even if Illinois did not ask for it.
Enough is enough. We don't need the National Guard in the city of Chicago or any of these cities. What we need is the resources that actually prove to reduce violence across the country.
It's an authoritarian power grab that has profound consequences, that seeks to target and profile working class immigrant and brown communities.
Governor Pritzker said sources have reported military movement on federal property. He's been told ICE agents will be ramping up immigration enforcement this weekend, targeting community picnics and parades. Mexican Independence Parade organizers in Pilsen say they plan to celebrate culture and the memory of Rigoberto Gonzalez, co-founder of the Pilsen Chamber of Commerce. He died in September. With support from Chicago police, they are not afraid of threats by ICE.
This would be a direct attack to our people, a simple celebration. We're not criminals. We're not doing anything illegal. It's a simple celebration with a parade.
At Soldier Field this year, it's not just about the playbook, but the menu. There's Mr. Beef,
brisket-topped mac and cheese with cavatappi and white cheddar sauce, and even Kraft sausages. Today, the Bears unveiled the 2025 food lineup at Soldier Field. It's a spread almost as big as game day itself, and it's all about showcasing Chicago.
Chicago's the best food in the world, so let's bring that into the stadium. We've got Mr. Beef, the iconic Italian beef stand. We've got Israel Adonijah, Bears legend turned restaurateur, who we're working with on multiple new items in the United Club. So we're really excited to debut all these new things to the fans this year.
Chicago's Levy Restaurant Group surveyed fans about what they wanted, and they listened. The result? Molly's mac and cheese, Bears-themed cookies, special kids boxes, and Bears legend Israel Adonijah's crispy chicken fried sandwich. The former defensive lineman turned restaurateur now owns 3 places in Chicago, and he's showcasing some of his favorites in the United Club.
When I started getting into restaurants, it was for opportunities like this, right? Obviously, the Bears are near and dear to my heart and just our special relationship. They're family to me. So now I'd be able to bring a product that fans can enjoy. It comes back full circle, and it's really special.
And Izzy isn't the only Bears legend that's showcased. There's Kraft sausages in collaboration with former Bears fullback Matt Suey and his Suey peppers. Today was all about showing off and taste testing, because apparently here at Soldier Field, the food is more than a side dish. It's also part of the game plan, and it appears the reviews are in, and the Bears have scored a win with this year's menu offerings.
Here we go, y'all. Yeah, that definitely meets the criteria. That's really good.
10 out of 10?
11 out of 10.
Taste of Chicago just getting underway at 11 o'clock this morning. I started off with empanadas today, and then I moved on to some fried shrimp and some barbecue. And now I have made my way to one of the granddaddies of the Taste of Chicago, Eli's Cheesecake. And they are celebrating an anniversary. Mark Schulman is the president and son of the founder. Thank you for talking to us.
It is so exciting. 45 years since my dad brought his signature cheesecake to Michigan Avenue. First Taste Chicago, July 4th, 1980. 45 years later, over 2 million slices sold at Taste. Family business, only vendor to be in Taste all the years. We're open today with great items. Tomorrow we have a 1,000-pound cheesecake being cut, Buckingham Fountain at 12:30. So it's just so much fun, and we love, continuing the tradition and great students working with us.
Great. You have a team of people at their booth back there just ready for a lot of business today. They are expecting it to be busy. There's a family-friendly stage. They have lots of musicians. Lupe Fiasco, JoJo, Elvis Crespo will all be appearing at Taste of Chicago over the weekend. I want to come over here and introduce you to this gentleman. And this is Mad Dog Thomas, and he's going to tell us a little bit about dance instructions for Chicago footwork that you're going to be giving on the summer dance stage.
Yes, so I'll be giving instructions at the Chicago summer dance stage that'll be centered around Chicago footwork that's been created here in the city and communities that was under-resourced and devalued in the city of Chicago. And this artwork comes from that. So the music, we dance at 160 beats per minute, and today I'm going to show folks how to dance at 160 beats, as well give them a little backstory and history on Chicago footwork as a community.
And what better way to wrap up a day when you've been eating all day than with a workout like the one you're about to see. And man, it is artwork. Let's see it. How about that? I hear somebody in the background going, oh, snap. Yeah, snap. Wow. This is what you're going to get a lesson in if you go to that Chicago Summer Dance Stage. Once again, so many things going on, and the Ferris wheel is back at Taste of Chicago, happening right now in Grand Park.
Well, if you're already a fan of Starbucks, you know exactly what I'm holding right here. It's the season, the pumpkin spice latte. But today, we want to tell you a little bit about the Starbucks Reserve Chicago Roastery, which has a line virtually all the time. Right now we're on the cafe level. There are 5 stories here, and we want to tell you more about some of the treats that you can eat that are here for this season. So I have the head baker with me. This is Justin Masake. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about, as I drink my pumpkin spice latte, about the selections for the season and how you arrived at these.
Yeah, of course. Our chefs put a lot of thought into our new fall menu. We wanted to let these seasons kind of be our guide. So we have our coffee hazelnut brioche right here, our pumpkin s'mores tart, and our squash and ricotta galette. This is kind of my favorite right now. It is the perfect comforting bite for a cold fall Chicago day.
Right, and so this is a nice savory treat. What's the feedback from customers?
Feedback has been great. Our customers always love our promo items, so nothing but great feedback and excitement for the next promo.
Right, so we do need to point out that here at the Roastery, they have special treats that you'll only get here in the cafe, and also coffees that are roasted here on premises, and you're not going to be able to get that at other Starbucks. But if you come here to the Roastery, they have the beans, they get them out of the bag, and the whole process happens in the building. It's really a big draw for people. I see lines out the door, even though it is 5 stories high. I am always shocked to see the crowds. What do you think brings them back?
I think it's such a unique experience to have a special coffee menu, the unique food pairings that we have, and the 5 floors of excitement, really. We have our mixology bar on the 4th floor. We hold events, so there's just so much draw and attraction for it.
Oh, that's right. You've got some cocktails now.
We sure do.
Yeah, and a lovely view of Michigan Avenue. So it is all good, but I think fall is a favorite for so many Starbucks fans, partly because of this drink. And you have a new one. They have now a tiramisu latte as well for the season. So I guess I have to put this aside one of these days and try the tiramisu because it sounds really good.
It is very, very good.
Delicious? Okay, great. Justin, thank you so much for joining us. So once again, a lot of new things on the menu for the season at Starbucks, especially here at the Starbucks Reserve Chicago Roastery.
They really are coming up right now.
Matt Nelson is a mushroom scientist at the Field Museum and a fun guy to talk about fungi.
This one called Dead Man's Fingers, which is supposed to look like a hand coming up from underground.
Nelson showed us just some of the 1,500 fungi found in the Chicago area, which thanks to recent rains and cooler temperatures are putting on a show right now.
Fungi can do a really wide range of things. Just because you see them doesn't mean things are bad. A lot of times it's a sign of a really healthy ecosystem.
Mushroom pictures have been popping up all over social media in the past couple weeks, and when we asked our Fox 32 viewers to document what's happening in their lawns, we got an avalanche of shroom shots.
For most of the year, they are hidden away underground living in their food, and the only time we're aware of them is when they pop up above ground to make this mushroom when it's time to make spores to send off.
And if you're lucky enough to find one of these in your yard, the giant puffball mushroom, well, not only do you have a big mushroom, you have something with an Illinois connection.
This is the Illinois state mushroom. This is something that was only very recently designated within the past year.
And it's a good time to remind people that they should not eat these wild mushrooms unless they've been trained what to look for. For instance, this is a non-toxic mushroom species that looks almost exactly like another species that could be deadly.
If you don't know what you're doing, don't go out and just pick a mushroom because it is something that could be poisonous and it might make you sick, it might kill you. Some of these have varying degrees of toxicity.
And the same goes for your pets. Keep them away from any fungi snacks. Just this past weekend, the Illinois Mycological Association held an event at the Chicago Botanic Gardens to showcase this year's mushroom bonanza.
We don't really know this thing is around until it actually fruits in the fall. And so, yeah, it's this very ephemeral, sort of special, magical thing that we have.
And it's showtime right in your backyard.
The eggs from these chickens and the beef from these cows both come from the same farm in far south suburban Manhattan, and they both go to only one set of customers for free.
Farm to Veteran is a nonprofit that we started in 2020, and our mission is simple: deliver farm fresh food to veterans in need.
Michelle Keller's the senior director for Farm to Veterans. She and her farm manager are getting ready to make one of their deliveries. They're loading up 60 cartons of farm fresh eggs and pounds of fresh produce, all to take to a local veterans home in Joliet.
So then we also work with other farmers across the local area as well as nationwide to provide anything supplemental that we don't do. So all of our produce is done by partner farmers. I mean, I've had everything from greens to melons to berries, apples, peaches, basically anything you can find in a grocery store.
Keller says they deliver eggs and produce once a week and meat once every few months, sooner if they're told the veterans' freezers are empty.
So typically we try to make it as easy as possible. For our beef donations, we do ground beef and then we do all the steaks. We don't really do the roasts or anything larger because most of our veterans are either single or have very small families.
So why deliver this feast for free?
It's a staggering statistic that 1 in 5 veterans will be food insecure at some point in their lives. It's much larger number than the average population. A lot of these veterans struggle with whether it's the transition from military life to civilian life or just getting a job, PTSD struggles, honestly even addiction and things that they come across to cope with some of the other struggles that they have.
There are other reasons too that aren't as complicated.
We've seen where some of these folks can't even get to, say, a grocery store because they're in mobility chairs, or they don't have a vehicle, or they're in a food desert.
Look at these beautiful orange bell peppers. Wow. Gonna stuff these bad boys with ground beef and rice.
Vivian Coaster's an Army veteran who stopped by to take advantage of this free program.
A lot of veterans don't drive, so it's like, 3 or 4 different buses they have to catch, transferring buses. And then you have some, disabled veterans as well, they have problems walking or, getting around, wheelchairs and all that. So it's really nice to have it delivered to us.
She also likes it for the cost and the quality.
It's a wonderful program because I am a big vegetable fruit person, and the cost of fresh fruits and vegetables can be really costly. Nothing is like expired. This stuff is fresh, yeah, and very good.
Wasn't one night, it was 3. A Chicago-based company was tapped to pull off the pre-bachelorette jet party for actress, singer, and businesswoman Selena Gomez. How did Selena Gomez find out about what you do?
I think, honestly, with just the way we keep posting and just our niche, I think it was one of those things where she was always interested in working with us. We just didn't have the opportunity. And when the opportunity occurred, it was, hey, can you do this? We were like, absolutely, we're there. So my team in LA was able to get it done within 72 hours.
Picnics in the Chi started with a blanket right in the grass and a need for everyone to have their own space, but still find time to be together.
We started 5 years ago. During COVID, we saw a niche. Everything was locked down. We couldn't go out. We couldn't do anything. And I was physically, and my siblings were battling depression.
That's when Ola Inka Asani launched a brand with the help of her siblings. The company has roots in Chicago, Los Angeles, California, and also the San Francisco Bay Area.
Now we're growing so much that picnics is there, but the events is just, it's wide open for us, and everyone's contacting us for designs and brand, especially with brands now. Seeing the scale that what we've done and how we've grown with the small business, they love to work with us, being minority owned and just having that opportunity.
Selena flew off to Cabo for her bachelorette celebration, surprised, delighted, and fully impressed. Picnics in the Chi is known for social media posts showing the most aesthetic, elevated, Instagrammable events across the country. The team created a luxury send-off fit for a pop queen, complete with 30 balloons, each tied with custom ribbon bows, and a 7-foot floral garland anchored by one giant handmade bow. The team had 30 minutes to set it all up. Selena is marrying music producer and songwriter Benny Blanco. It's unclear when the nuptials will happen. in that 72 hours? What did you have to turn around?
It wasn't that as much. We were we consulted with her team and say what colors does she like, because it was a total surprise for her as well. Her girls did this. Priscilla was like, she loves pink, she loves bows. I said, perfect. We got the perfect design. We sent them a mock-up. They approved it in seconds, and then we got to work.
How fun is that to know that you're like part of her love story?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, even if it's a small part, we're so grateful that we were able to like put a smile on her face.
We are out here at iFly in Rosemont, where you can recreate the incredible dream of jumping out of a plane, skydiving. But guess what? They're using this for educational purposes as well. We were out here and learned all about it.
That's the biggest thing about this is it's a skill. It's an extreme sport. You have to practice. You have to get better at it. Even our instructors, they take time out of their days. Most days, if there's nobody here, they're in the tunnel practicing. They're getting better. They're putting in the work to be better flyers so they can give everyone a better experience.
You told me the wind, about 160 miles an hour. Is it blowing from below and above? Is that how it's working?
So actually, it's being pulled from below.
Really?
All the fans are at the top, and it just pushes it around the building, back up through the bottom.
Here, we're going to bring Emma over. Emma is a STEM educator. Emma, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, obviously, we've been showing people flying around and doing flips and going up and down, but STEM is also using sort of the wind tunnel technology as a way to educate. How are you guys doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we run a STEM program for kindergarten through college. We have a bunch of different labs, a bunch of different lessons. We differentiate it to sort of age group, and it's all actually standards based. So, teachers, what they're teaching in the classroom, we're applying that same sort of concept here. But, we get the kids in, they're in awe of the wind tunnel. They're all so excited. And then we let them have this really experience based sort of time learning in the classroom, doing whatever labs, and then they get to actually come step into the wind tunnel and try out everything that they've been learning about forces, about physics themselves, sort of with their own bodies.
So, we just saw sort of the water floating around in the tunnel. He's been playing around with the toys and everything, because it's one thing to be in a classroom and read about it in a book, but to be able to come out here and see this, I mean, the kids have just got to go nuts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The kids are always so excited. They're so engaged. We sort of can, Trojan horse a little bit of learning in with them. It's one of the best ways to get them to really engage with an experience and really internalize what they're learning.
If you want to learn more about how you can come out here for a date night, for a birthday party, hanging out with your friends, or maybe to get ready to skydive, go to iFlyWorld.com. You can also learn about everything that they're doing with STEM education. But for now, I'm Jake Hamilton, tossing it back to you guys. Come back down. Oh, there he is. Back to you in the studio.
If you could pick any song of yours or anyone else's to describe how you're feeling today, what would it be?
Ooh, today? I would say maybe my song Porcelain. Just like, light and excited and ready for whatever comes next.
Next feels different when you know her past. At 13, JoJo broke through with Leave, Get Out. Then the label battle started. Songs stuck in the vault, years frozen in contracts. In 2018, she sang it all again, note for note, and took her voice back. Now comes NGL, Not Gonna Lie, her first independent project. And Porcelain leads this chapter, honest and transparent. I don't know what's coming over me. Took a look into the mirror, found clarity. The moment I got rid of everything. This stripped down version hit millions online. Perfect Strangers came together in one day, singing in perfect 7-part harmony.
The power of the human voice is so beautiful. So they talked about the lyrics to Porcelain, and I'd never had my lyrics dissected like that in front of me. So that was really powerful. It was powerful online, but it was even more powerful in person.
"20 years in, and her powerful voice still commands attention. And Saturday, she brings that power to a city she loves.
Well, I love Chicago. It is one of my favorite cities in America and one of my favorites to play. So I want to do something a little special.
The set list takes you on a journey of power found and kept, new tracks for the first timers, and early hits for the day ones.
So you might hear me trying to hit that high note at the end of Too Little Too Late.
I'm going to pass you the mic. I don't want to do it, Terrence.
Listen, if you hear someone who's very flat,
I've been doing it for 20 years.
At the same time, it's me.
Just last month, the Jonas Brothers handed her the mic.
Do you think they're going to play Leave Get Out with JoJo tonight? No, this is a Jonas Brothers concert.
I got the call from the bros, and I was just, it was like a no-brainer. I just had to like move a flight around, and I was like, I'm coming.
The Joe Bros invited JoJo on stage at Fenway in her hometown, Boston. She grew up outside the ballpark hearing the crowd. Now she stood in center stage and heard the crowd sing back.
It was just really cool that we're 2 decades into our careers and getting to have these like peak moments.
Peak moments like her stint on Broadway, playing Satine in Moulin Rouge, coming second in the 5th season of Fox's Masked Singer, also come with pressure to meet the moments she builds from the inside out.
I don't have a lot of stability in my life, so I have to create that. It's spending time with my dog, taking her on a walk. I guess say it's feeding myself nourishing foods that love me back. Making sure I'm hydrated, making sure my sleep is good. I just think it's about finding balance.
Part of that balance, knowing when to let loose. So we played a little game.
I called it Leave, Get Out, Food Hot Takes.
Hey, okay.
I'm going to throw some foods at you, and you decide, do they stay or do they have to leave, get out?
Come on, Tone. That was nice.
Number 1, this is a big one in Chicago. Ketchup on hot dogs.
Okay, yeah. I want ketchup and mustard. And relish, honestly.
I'll allow it. Number 2, hot or cold lobster roll?
I want the bun hot. I want the meat cold.
Huh.
Yeah, this is coming from
like
a New England girl.
Candy corn. 'Tis the season.
Get out! No, I don't want that. Nobody wants that. Don't put that. If I'm trick-or-treating, don't put that in my little basket.
No. Okay, this is an interesting one because I'm drinking one right now. Pumpkin spice everything. Like it's candles, it's coffee, it's lattes.
Get out right now. I don't want that. Actually, wait. I just don't want the coffee, but I kind of do want a candle. So I'm like half basic. I'm borderline basic B, honestly.
Nothing basic about her legacy still being written in real time. And this time, she's keeping the pen.
If you had to make the most honest promise to your fans for the rest of the year, what would it be?
Oh my God, that's such a nice question. The most honest promise to my fans is that most honest promise is that I'm honestly wanting to make my best music next. So most honest promise is that, yeah, I'm gonna just keep getting better.
The U.S. has scored!
If you want to be pitch side for all the excitement of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, when it comes to North America, the time is now.
The first thing that everyone can do immediately is basically register on FIFA.com/tickets for a FIFA ID. This is a unique user ID that then enables you to apply for tickets, to apply for the different selection phases in the ticketing process.
Your next step is to score tickets to one of the 104 matches in 16 cities, and that happens in phases, starting with the Visa pre-sale, where fans 18 and older can enter for a chance to buy tickets using any type of Visa card.
As of the 10th of September, you can start applying for the ticketing process, right? And then there will be a random selection draw after that, and you will be notified by email. So you will be assigned a specific time slot when you can log in with your FIFA ID and then purchase tickets. All the matches will be available.
Fans can buy up to 40 total tickets, 4 per match, for up to 10 matches. If you don't have a visa or aren't selected in the pre-sale, another phase rolls out October 27th using the same process. In December, when the 48 teams are assigned at the final draw, more tickets will become available. And closer to the tournament, fans will be able to buy any remaining inventory.
There is, such global interest to this that we have to be very strict and very compliant with the process.
Tickets start at $60 and are for seating sections, not specific seats.
People normally drop us a note in the ticket purchase saying they want to sit together, and wherever we can, we enable that.
You can also purchase a series for a specific venue or a Follow My Team package.
That's a conditional ticket, which gives you access to all the matches of your team. Should your team be eliminated, obviously, then, that right is no longer there.
There is a great story that Anthony Hopkins tells right after Silence of the Lambs came out. He said that he could tell that people were treating him and speaking to him as if he were Hannibal Lecter. He said there was a woman that would not sit next to him on a plane. I'd love to know, when you guys meet fans on the streets, has there ever been a moment where you can tell, oh, they're talking to me as if I'm Ed. They're talking to me as if I'm Lorraine.
Yeah, it just happened it just happened in Kentucky, where an extra came up to me and just talks to me straight up as if I have, that I've got this that kind of spiritual empathy, and just that they just they and clairvoyance, and and just they go on and tell me about the fear that they're dealing with, the emotional toll it's taken on them. Yeah, I can see. You can see I'm in an entirely different costume. I'm in a chubby suit with short hair wig. I look nothing like Lorraine Warren. I'm not wearing a tartan skirt. I don't have a weird updo. I'm an entirely different physicality, and yet they're just locked in eyes, that's asking for advice, asking for healing, and I play the part. I believe I am the role now. So
it means you did something right. Patrick, do you ever get that?
Well, yeah, I think because most people know me from this now anyway, and there's a, because I'm not clairvoyant in the films, I don't get those kind of deep looks. I usually get a lot of, sort of almost reverence to oh, don't mess with this guy, which I gotta say is pretty good. I did have a lady here a couple of weeks ago, right up the road. I was getting a cup of coffee, and she goes, "You look like a younger Ed Warren." And I was like, "Thank you." She had no idea who I
know, Patrick, that's happened to us a lot.
I was like, do I look either that old on camera, or is that a compliment of how I'm moisturized?
We got a couple of those last press junket. They'll sit down and be like, "Wow, you guys look younger in person." Right. Thanks.
You just talk.
I never know how to take that whenever someone comes up on the street and they're like, "Oh, you're taller, or you're shorter, or you're better looking in person." I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I agree.
We're up here at the Buffalo Grove Days. This is day 5 of Buffalo Graves. It's Buffalo Grove Days. That's the second time I've done that. Tell us about this, Tyler. What is Buffalo Grove Days all about?
Buffalo Grove Days is all about bringing the community together, especially for a town like Buffalo Grove. We're really excited to host this event every year. It's something special to not only the community, but everybody involved. Today's a very special day, actually. It's Monday, but we actually closed down the festival for residents with special needs as part of our RKCRD, the Rick Kane Commission for Residents with Disabilities.
Tell me about that commission.
So the commission's been around for a very long time. There are 15 current commissioners, most of which that have served for close to 20 years, some as long as 30.
What do they do?
So they're residents in the area that volunteer their time. Usually we host about 6 events. One of these we had yesterday was Buddy Baseball. But they volunteer their time to come together as a group and basically talk and plan events for residents with disabilities. We talk about accessibility issues, having fun events like this with special needs families.
So today, starting at 10 a.m., from 10 to noon, kiddos, families with special needs, they get to come here for free. They had to register, right? Come here for free, ride the rides for free, and they get lunch.
Yes.
Why is that such a big deal? Why is that so important for the commission to help put this event on?
It's a great question. What we find is most of the time it's a portion of our community that's very underserved and most times kind of forgotten about. This type of event makes them the focal point. And I think that's what's important. They get to be the stars of the show today. They get to be themselves. They don't have to worry about how they act. They get to completely be whoever they want to be at this festival and enjoy it. And we enjoy it too. And they get to have fun on the rides and interact with the carnival people. And it's a great time. And then they get to go have a great lunch and just be with their families at this awesome event.
That's so great. 600, kiddos and families running around here. I'm sure they get on a ride and then they get off and they get back on the ride and they get off, right? That's what I would do, like find the best ride and keep doing that.
I mean, we're kind of on one, right?
This is right. We're going to have to, I don't know what we can do. By the way, we're on circles that spin. You just can't see it. So we could have just been doing the interview like this the whole time, but Tyler and I didn't think that would be appropriate. Anyway, but also the public, this opens at noon for the public. And then the rides start at 1. So you still have, the public has an opportunity for Buffalo Grove Days later today.
Absolutely.
Free to get in.
Free to get in.
I asked this to the village president. What was your favorite food here the past 5 days?
Oh, gosh. I mean, you have to lean toward funnel cakes, right? You're at
funnel
a
cakes
fair,
or corn dogs?
Right?
I'm a corn dog gal. Like corn dog, lemon shake-up. That's really all I need.
Lemon
shake-up about a
too.
skirt steak sandwich or something?
Oh, my gosh. Those are killer. If you haven't had it,
you got to come. There's no traffic and the weather's perfect, right?
Protesters are sending a message to ICE and the Broadview community, their objection to immigration enforcement. This is a facility where detainees would be processed before they are transported to other states. Vehicles drove out of the Broadview facility before sunrise, presumably taking immigrant detainees to other facilities. It happened before protesters assembled outside the building, now boarded up.
ICE is afraid. ICE is attempting to terrorize my neighbors, and yet all it takes to terrorize them right back is us showing up and sitting down.
At one point, protesters blocked the gated entrance to the parking lot, sitting down in front of a vehicle driven by someone wearing a mask and hoodie. Broadview police moved in to resolve the conflict without injury. Protesters bought tents and tried to assemble them in the street. Police took those tents away. Police allowed peaceful demonstrations but did not permit illegal activity. About 100 people joined the protest.
Yeah, we're hoping to literally stop the process that's happening here. Like, very unapologetically, we believe this place has no place in our community, and we want to say, as community members, we're not for it.
A couple of concerned citizens, a couple of people using their privilege is all it takes to stop this absolute disaster, this absolute brutality.
The mayor of Broadview informed the community this facility will be operational for at least 45 days while ICE is active here. More protests are expected.
While week 1 of the season brings uncertainty for Caleb Williams, the expectations remain the same as in training camp.
Everything is so timing related in the passing game, and same thing with our get off in the run game. And so really trying to give our guys an advantage at all times, and making sure that he's consistent with that cadence. We vary it, and that's just something we work every day.
While the Bears face questions, one thing will be answered, and that's how well Dennis Allen's defense can pressure J.J. McCarthy in his first NFL start.
You know, in particular with J.J., like, you know, we obviously studied him coming out. We got a chance to see him in a couple of preseason games, and yet we don't have a lot of film on him. So we'll have to be ready to adjust and see how they're trying to call the game with him.
It's about us being prepared to do what we actually do at a high level, and you know, everything else, you know, it can be up and down, but it all will just be you know, just skeptics, like, I mean, just guessing for real, because at the end of the day, it can go either way.
With the clock ticking towards the primetime opener against a tough division opponent, Dennis Allen, fully aware his unit remains a work in progress.
Do we still need to improve? Absolutely. You know, I don't think there's any team out there that's a finished product in week 1. And so, we feel good about the preparation that we've had to this point. We feel good about the work that we got in training camp, and now it's a great opportunity for us to go out in a Monday night game against a division opponent and go play. And so the work's never done.
If you're of a certain age, you know who lived in this Edgewater condo building, at least on TV, back in the 1970s. And today, the family of the late great comedian Bob Newhart came to visit for a very special reason.
3, 2, 1.
This stretch of Sheridan Road just south of Thorndale is now known as Bob Newhart Way. 3 of Newhart's 4 children on hand for the renaming ceremony in the shadow of the Thorndale Beach North condo building, home to Newhart's psychiatrist character in his iconic 1970s sitcom set in Chicago.
It's very emotional, actually. When I looked at the building, I wasn't anticipating quite the reaction that I had to see it. Holding back the tears.
Hello? Newhart insisted that Chicago be the setting for the show because this was home, the first network program set in our city, showing it off to tens of millions of people every week. Newhart was born and raised in the Austin neighborhood, graduated from St. Ignatius High School and Loyola University, and was working here as an accountant in the late 1950s when he found fame as a stand-up comic. But even though he lived in Los Angeles for most of his life, his children say his heart was always in Chicago.
His hero wasn't any movie star or TV star. It was Ernie Banks, and Jack Brickhouse, and things like that. And, he lived in LA for 65 years, but he was always Chicago.
I think he always just had a soft spot every time he came back here. I don't think if it wasn't for the television shows, he probably would have ever left.
Today's ceremony taking place on what would have been Newhart's 96th birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob Newhart. Happy birthday to you.
Today we mark this corner in Edgewater, not just with a sign, but with a reminder Bob Newhart was ours. He was Chicago's. And though the world called him a legend, he always called this city home.
Also taking part in today's ceremony, one of Newhart's Chicago friends from the late 1950s.
It's wonderful, especially these times where we're being criticized, being called, terrible city, crime infested. I think if they ever watched the Bob Newhart show, they'd have a heck of a different opinion of the city.
Newhart passed away last year, and this is not the only place where he's being remembered in Chicago. There's also a sculpture, a statue of him sitting on his psychiatrist couch at the end of Navy Pier.